Welcome to another Always Strive Higher interview. Today I have one of my closest friends, software developer Rachid Sassine. This is a very special episode, and you know we're gonna keep continuing to push out these interviews.
Yes, sir.
So, bro, how you feel to be on the show?
I'm feeling we made it here.
Made it here after a wild day, right?
I got my chance. You know, we just had brunch. Just business. Whenever I talk ass, it's straight business.
Straight
you know
business.
what I'm saying?
And now we're just getting to it.
We here. So, feel me?
Come on, great views after a great day. Now it's just time to get to straight business.
Facts.
So, bro, tell us a little about yourself and what you do.
Currently I'm a software developer for an IT solutions company. Their name is HCL Technologies. They started in India. So basically I'm kind of like a contractor. I'm not like a general software engineer where we work on our company's products. By contractor, I mean like we get like some projects that from companies that we sponsor. And currently my sponsored company is a biopharmaceutical company called Merck. I don't know if anybody knows what Merck is, but it's a biopharmaceutical company similar to like Pfizer and AstraZeneca. And yeah, so I'm working on a project for them right now. Some of the companies that we sponsor include like Papa John's and like T-Mobile. I'm sure you guys know them. I got T-Mobile. So yeah, and those contracts or projects take from like 6 months to like a year. They haven't told me how long my project is right now, so I've been working there for like 3 months, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I honestly personally like it working as a contractor rather than just working on one product. Because I get to work in a bunch of different fields, like we're probably going to talk about later on, and I'll be able to.
That.
Yeah. Oh,
trust.
I've been able to learn a lot just from work experience, and yeah, that's pretty much my job.
Got it. Yeah. Sounds good. Good stuff. Why did you decide to become a software developer? Where did your interest begin? Just take us down to really like the thought process to get into this destination.
Yeah, so basically it's a pretty long story, but like not really that long. But so when I was deciding on college and what I wanted to major in, I knew I had to pick a major that I for sure loved, because me personally, I'm not one to waste time. I hate wasting time, and I know you hate wasting time. Our whole friend group hates wasting time. So if I was gonna pick a major that I didn't really like, then I would just be wasting my time and spending more years when I could have been in a career in the exact amount of time that I need to be. So yeah, I always had a love for building stuff, and I always thought about being an engineer, but I never really was that good in mathematics. So I really just liked science and just the engineering part of it without the mathematics. And I was also pretty athletic, so I definitely didn't want to do anything medical, but I found that physical therapy was something medical that I can really venture into and not have to really like cut people open. It's just, I'm just not fond of that, and I don't like seeing blood or organs, so physical therapy, from my knowledge, was just
out of the equation.
Yeah, exactly.
Not it.
So I actually had two uncles in those both professions, and they were brothers, and I spoke to both of them, and they don't really know this, but they were basically my deciding factor. So when I spoke to my uncle that's a physical therapist, he told me that it's a good job and a lot of good benefits, but it takes a lot of time to succeed in that career path.
You gotta work your way up.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a dying profession as well. So I did a lot of research into that. And I just didn't want to waste a lot of my time, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to be out of school and to find a job that I really love and that I wanted to pursue like for the rest of my life. So then I spoke to my other uncle who worked previously as a software engineer. He's like now a project manager. And
where at?
He works for Boeing. But it's a company in California, like Burbank area. And yeah, so he worked his way up and straight from college. So I wanted a job exactly like that. And he told me, the one thing that stuck in my head when I spoke to him about my career path was that he told me, if you like researching and if you always want to just do research and continue learning,
And
pick
improving
computer
skills.
science. Yeah, basically improving myself. So yeah, I took that with a grain of salt, obviously, but that I knew that was exactly the career path that I wanted to, because I always found in like my life I was always just trying to research other endeavors and just trying to do anything that I can better myself. So if a job was going to help me just better myself automatically while I'm working there, like why would I choose something else? And yeah, and then I took my first college classes and I fell in love with it, honestly.
Bro, that's great. So it sounds like you really just wanted to make sure that you found a major that you found interesting enough, but you could also, straight out of school, use that degree like immediately and really just not waste time while making sure that the career path that you found would always keep you intrigued and interested toward the future, so that you never really like would become bored with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like when people talk to me about choosing computer science, everybody talks about how you have to be smart. I don't think that's the case for any major, honestly. I think you just have to pick a major that you're 100% interested in, like 100% down to put your life and your hours into. And it won't seem like work. If you're really interested in it, it won't seem like work. It'll just be fun to you, and that's exactly what my job is. It's fun to me, honestly, to learn and to just improve, and it kind of it forces me to better myself, which I really like.
Got it. That's it right there. That's it right there. So what school did you actually go to? Actually, I didn't even mention that.
So I went to a private institution, Delphi University. Shout out the Panthers, hail at Delphi. So I chose the school, honestly, not for the program. The program was just a benefit. I chose it for the athletic side. He's a
runner. He's a track star.
Feel me? Exactly. So yeah, I was a track and field athlete in high school, and I really wanted to pursue athletics during my college career, and yeah, Delphi hit me up, and feel me,
it was the perfect match.
The bag, yeah. It was crunch time, so me and Ash could have been classmates, but then a Delphi swooped in and sent me a contract, so locked that down real quick, and computer science at the time for a Delphi wasn't a how do I say it, like, it was a very new curriculum for computer science students. So I was very grateful for that, because the professors there were teaching us not what you can do with computer science, but basically what computer science is.
And what would apply to like future careers.
Exactly. So if you think about it as like a car, they didn't teach us like the specs of the car and how good the car is. They taught us basically what is under the hood, and not what the car can do, but how the car actually works. And just apply that to computer science. So we basically learned all the concepts and of computer science. So now when I'm learning new technologies and learning new languages, I can just apply that same knowledge from college to my studying when I'm at the workplace. So,
bro, that's great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you found the coursework useful and that your professors were actually teaching relevant information. Now I know within software development, and even just engineering, there are specific languages and programs that are very popular and that you obviously have to learn in order to carry them into the workplace. So during your time out of Delphi, did they stress the importance of learning specific programs? Did they teach you some specific programs, or did you really have to just learn them in your spare time, in your free time?
Yeah, so from my freshman year to sophomore year, we only studied in Java. Java is just a programming language. It's been around for a long time. Just gonna get a little technical. Java's really good.
We need it all.
Java's really good for back-end and front-end engineering now with some frameworks that they have. I mainly use Java in companies in my work, and a lot of companies actually use Java still to this day. They keep updating it, which is really good. And yeah, so my first 2 years, I mainly just studied in Java until I had a survey of programming language class, and we learned about like 8 different languages, which was kind of hard. Yeah,
sounds tough.
Yeah, it was kind of hard because it was pretty much, and college semesters is like 3 months long. So
there's
we
a
were
lot to
really,
fit in.
we were really studying like a language like every 2 weeks. So I'm not gonna say all of it stuck, and some of the languages they chose were like pretty outdated, like Prolog, and if you guys know that, it was super outdated, and we also learned C, like C++. C++ is still good, but yeah, C is kind of just like low level machine language, like pretty much how a machine takes in information. And it's like a human basically reading how machines take in information, which is really hard for a human to do. So, yeah, and so the language I used the most was probably Java. For all my 4 years, I did a lot of projects in Java, and it wasn't until my junior year where I started to realize that other developers were already ahead, because I would see so many YouTube videos of like young programmers and developers just creating projects in different other languages that I didn't even know of. And the benefit that I talked about before about learning what's under the hood, that's important because that's the fundamentals of computer science.
Right.
But in this day and age now, tech is such a huge industry, and there's so many new open source technologies. And open source, I mean like free to use, and that advanced so much like past the technologies I was learning in college. So when I first got to the workplace, I was so like frustrated, I want to say, because I had to learn so many new languages, and using those new languages, I found out that all the work I was doing in college could be minimized in about 30 minutes. Like it would take me like 4 hours to develop or code something, when using a new technology would take me about 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of the frustrating thing. I guess that's also a downside of college. They teach just the fundamentals pretty much, and not what you can actually apply in the workplace. But I do still recommend like a degree at least, if you don't know really what you're doing. So,
got it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, although your professors were useful in teaching some of the fundamentals in terms of preparing you for the actual careers that were out there, it didn't really resonate to the level that it could have, or it may have should have, with the degree. So going off along that line, I would say you obviously said you had to learn some software, some languages. How did you go about learning those languages? You could just take us down that.
Yeah, so I actually did a lot of research into this because when I first got to the workplace, I had to learn about 6 different technologies / languages, and they kind of just put it on me to learn this with tests and everything. So it was pretty stressful when I first started working and working on new projects.
Sorry to interrupt, but how long did it take till you felt comfortable? Or do you even feel comfortable right now?
Honestly, every day is kind of just like a new day where I learn a new feature or a new program. So I can't really say like I'm really comfortable. Honestly, the only language I'm really comfortable in is Java, because, and all of its capabilities, because that's the language I've worked on for the past like 5 years now, and just kept studying it. So, and learning a language is kind of like learning just a regular language, like Spanish or French. Yeah, it just takes time and a lot of practice. So going back to like how I learned and how I went about like studying those languages or technologies. So I kind of set up like, when I first started working, I was learning the first technology that they gave me, and it was basically another language. Another language's framework, and it was called Angular. And I was just not understanding anything at all, and I wasn't retaining any information. So I found this Udemy course on how to actually learn. Udemy got the plugs, and Udemy, it's like $10. It's not a sponsor, but you know, Udemy has the plugs, and some of them be free too. Some of the lessons be free, and they're really interactive too.
I remember in some stats class, I had to take some stats courses. I had to use Udemy too.
Yeah,
for the low, very good information.
So I forget what the actual lesson was, but it was how to learn and retain information. So if you guys want to search it up, it's really good. And yeah, so I basically studied a lot about that. There's a lot of different methods that they have. The one that I really liked was the spaced repetition method. So basically you just study, usually I just study a crash course of the language that I'm trying to learn. And I make sure I make note of the syntax. Syntax basically means grammar, and just how to write in the language, not really how the language works and the benefits of it. Yeah, so I would watch a crash course and learn just the syntax of a language. Then the next day I would study what's so good about this language, like what are special features, and how is it more efficient than this language. Like I would compare it to Java because like I'm really well versed in Java. So that's what helped me also, because I can, if I relate it to something that I already know, I got to compare
when you want to use one language and when you should use another language.
And that's what was able to stay in my head. And I would just take notes of all that, and then like every day I would read my notes, reread my notes, like pretty much every day. And every new note that I read, I would just like keep reading, and by the time like 2 weeks pass, I have like 5 pages of notes that I'm just reading every day that I already know. Like the first 3 pages, probably by the end of the week, I would already know the first 3 pages by heart. And then after that, it's just kind of like practice. Like it's literally just practice makes perfect. So if I'm learning a front-end language, so I'll just get in a little technical here.
Oh, we love it.
So
we love this.
I keep talking about back-end and front-end, so I'll just tell you right now. So basically, front-end is, just imagine on a website how the web page looks and how it interacts with the user. That's a front-end. There's a bunch of front-end languages and specific languages just for that, like how the web page is styled. And the back-end is pretty much how to make the website responsive. So when you go on Instagram and you look at your following list, it's fetching the data of your following list from a back-end server. And the back-end language is basically the middleman that communicates between the server
and connects it
and your front-end application or your view, pretty much. And yeah, so I forgot what we were.
The front end and back end. Oh, we were just talking about how when you choose to use different languages.
Yeah, we were talking about projects. So yeah, my fault.
You're good. No, you're good.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. So for example, when I'm working on a front end technology, and like when I was learning Angular, I would just pretty much like after those 2 weeks of just studying the language itself and how to apply it, I would do maybe like a little quizzes, or I would just start coding. Like I would search up maybe like one of the projects that I did was a Starbucks webpage, and I literally just tried to clone what the Starbucks webpage looked like on my project.
On your project.
And that would just help me learn different styles, how different companies use different styles, how they structure their code and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's a really good way if you want to start learning different languages. I think the number one thing is just practice makes perfect. You really have to put in the projects, and that benefits you a lot because you just have to build your portfolio and to show other companies, because they don't care about what you really know. They really just care about your experience.
Skills, experience.
They care about your experience pretty much. So those projects can really just show your experience, what your experience level is at.
Got it. So obviously, you're very experienced at a already young age, early into your career. Very knowledgeable. You've got to point that out. What do you make of like boot camps? Did you take any boot camps, certifications? Are there any out there that you would recommend? And just what do you make of them?
Yeah. So when I was first starting college, I really honestly didn't hear much about boot camps. I heard about this one camp called Free Online Code Camp, and it's still around. And they're an amazing website, because it's literally a free online coding boot camp. And I forget how many hours each lesson is, but I know a couple that are like maybe plus 500 hours, and it's really interactive. They really have you building projects from day one. And yeah, so by the time I was a freshman in college, there weren't really many boot camps that I heard of. But by the time I graduated, I started seeing a lot, and I was actually contacted by a few right when I was about to graduate college, asking me if I wanted to sign up for their certification, and it just didn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I'm already out of here.
But I definitely looked into the program. I spoke with the Flatiron School, and from what I know, they're a really good coding bootcamp. They set up their graduates pretty much with jobs after about from 3 to 6 months of training, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I know the curriculum is a little gruesome for some, where you're coding for like 8 hours a day. You're at a desk for 8 hours a day, and it's pretty much like a job. But I can say that the certification you get amounts to a college degree.
Wow.
From my experience,
okay,
and from some friends that I've spoken to that are also engineers / developers with other companies, they have told me that they never went to school for computer science. They just strictly got it from certifications. And it kind of got me frustrated. It kind of got me frustrated because I spent 4 years working on my craft and studying a lot, studying hard, taking all these tests. Meanwhile, these guys were just spending about 6 months to a year.
That's it.
Of just and the work is really practical. It's really practical, and I feel like you learn a lot because they teach you how to actually work in the workplace as an engineer. Mm-hmm. So they teach you a lot of important things to know. Because when I got to the workplace, there was a bunch of terms that
you were just
unfamiliar with, and these guys already knew what's happening. Like, I was about to graduate. These guys just started their coding bootcamp, and they're already like levels ahead of me in terms of just practical. Yeah, in terms of just practical knowledge and projects. So I would definitely recommend a bootcamp if you never took the computer science route and you're completely a beginner. I would definitely recommend it. If you've been in computer science, maybe did 1 or 2 years and you had to drop out due to other reasons, I think being self-taught is definitely still a way. Like I said, there's so many other endeavors that you can go through as a developer. I know a lot of self-taught developers that make their money doing freelance on websites like Fiverr.
Yep.
And they're really successful. And they have gotten jobs just from working on Fiverr as a freelance developer. So I think there's definitely a lot of routes. I think coding bootcamps are definitely one of them, for sure.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And going off, the jobs, what was your application process like? If you want to, give us a little insight into that,
I got nightmares. I got nightmares from my application process. But yeah, so the application process was pretty gruesome. I don't know how it started, and I don't really want to know how it started. But computer science interviews and software engineering interviews, pretty much anything in tech, at least on the engineer and developer side, it's pretty cruel. It's pretty gruesome.
It's a cold world.
From my experience, I've heard about like 7-8 rounds of testing, interviews. But from my personal experience, they're pretty bad. I can relate.
Gotta give yourself some credit now.
Yeah, I can relate. It was definitely really hard to study during my senior year. Because like it was my senior year, I was trying to relax and stuff like that, chill with the guys, chill with Ash, and I would have like just 7 interviews I have to study for, and sometimes they don't really give you any time too. So
it's a quick turnaround sometimes.
Yeah, like one time I got an interview. I'm not gonna mention the company, but I got an interview. I was playing basketball at around like 8:30 p.m. and they sent me an interview at like 8:35 p.m.
Huh?
Yeah. So I went to check and they were saying in the email that I need to reply within like 30 minutes. So, and it was an easy test. Right. Like it was definitely on the easier side of software engineering tests. And yeah, so I checked my phone at like 9:20 because I was hooping, and I seen the email, I booked it to my car, grabbed my laptop, I did it, submitted it by like 10, like around like 10, 11, 10, like 10, 12, I remember. Yes, and sir. Yeah, they they hit me up saying that I didn't do it in the required time. So
Oh no.
yeah, it was pretty stressful. Usually the interviews go like a phone interview
Okay.
if they find you interesting. And then usually after the phone interview, they give you a formal interview, kind of like a behavioral, or sometimes they'll just go straight to the test. Like for about 15 of them, I sent them an application. They just automatically sent me a test, and I would usually have a week or two to do. Yeah. And
did you find most of them grueling or?
Not most of them. So there's actually a website called LeetCode.
Okay.
LEET code.com, and it's basically a website with just coding questions specifically. So there's questions from Facebook, Google. They'll have specific like Google interview questions, Facebook interview questions, but they also have a like a top 75 list of the most questions asked. So I would practice those pretty much, and they're leveled between easy, medium, and hard. When I first started, the easy ones were like super difficult, and the medium ones were basically like 2 or 3 easy ones combined into medium, and hard is like impossible for me to answer at least. So I definitely struggled for a little bit. I also looked a lot of methods, but it's the same thing with just learning a new language as well. It's just trial and error, practice makes perfect. And now there's actually competitions for coding as well. Yeah, and people practice on LeetCode all the time. I definitely disagree with the way that companies interview for
What do you think they could do
for their
better?
Positions. I think the tests are fine.
Okay.
There's just some concepts that they ask on some like dynamic programming. I'm not going to get into dynamic programming because I
could be
I dislike dynamic programming, but sometimes they'll ask a concept like a dynamic programming question, which is like really hard, and you only have like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour to complete it, and you will never touch dynamic programming in the workspace. So I think that's where I disagree, because actually all of these questions, pretty much, they really won't help you in the workplace, because I've never really looked at work and thought like, wow, I really studied this on LeetCode, or wow, it definitely helps. LeetCode definitely helps you in terms of making your code efficient and thinking about how to structure it properly.
Right.
But yeah, in terms of project building and actually working on a team, I definitely do not think that it helps. And I think companies should be a little less gruesome in asking some types of questions.
Got you. Great insight, bro. Great insight into the industry, giving the keys. So what does a typical workday look like for you? And maybe give us some of your favorite projects that you've done or worked on.
So a typical workday, I usually just log in. So I work hybrid, pretty much remote. I don't really go to the office as much anymore because of the project that I'm on. They don't really require me to. So usually I just log on. We have a task board, and we have just tasks pretty much like code fixes, investigations into codes. We do a lot of code reviews. So I do about maybe like a code review a week, just checking other people's code and making sure I don't see anything wrong.
Okay.
It's basically like proofreading.
Proofreading.
So yeah, I would check people's codes. Like sometimes people would submit them to me, and yeah, so we just have a task board. We have something called a Scrum Master.
Okay.
So
don't know what that is, but I'm trying to get the gist of it.
Yeah, so basically the Scrum Master, he manages the tasks for the whole development team, and we have meetings with him, like a daily stand-up meeting in the morning. And yeah, we just talk about what we're working on, what we previously worked on, and what we're planning to work on. Okay. And yeah, it's short and simple. It's like a 15-minute meeting. And then yeah, after that, I do some of my tasks that I have on the board, either debugging, which is just like testing code and finding some errors. And then I have a meeting with my other manager. We'll just talk about what's going on, how I'm doing, and also what I'm working on. And then we'll go through like the task board, like specifically through my tasks.
Right.
And we'll also investigate if I have any doubts or if I'm struggling with something. And then, yeah, for the rest of the day, I just complete my tasks. And then my last meeting is with the business representatives from Merck's team. So the people I work from are from my company, from HCL. And then we have just one meeting with the business representatives, pretty much just telling them what's going on, like what's wrong, if they have any problems on how we're like on stuff that we're working. And yeah, we just try to resolve them in like an hour. It gets pretty stressful, but yeah, it's cool. It taught me a lot about how to talk to business representatives and clients, and making sure that the client's needs are being made. So yeah,
nice.
That's cool.
Great to see that you've been developing. You know, the skills
are
getting better.
I gotta switch it up sometimes.
So a little bit of a transition. What do you make of the recent development of large language models such as ChatGPT, artificial intelligence? We about to get into all that. That's a popular topic right now. So what do you make of all of the recent craziness?
So I have kind of a neutral opinion on this because if you think about it, all these language models and companies that are talking about have been training their language models for a long time. I honestly think it's cap.
Cap.
I think it's cap because just from research and just looking at what ChatGPT is doing right now, I don't really see any other language model doing it. Okay. I think what's going to happen in the future is they're going to take language models from OpenAI because from my understanding, they're probably the best company in the machine learning business right now.
As of right now, right?
What I think they're going to do is they're just going to take the structure of what ChatGPT is pretty much and just build on top of it and fine-tune it. Yeah, and fine-tune it for their specific industry. And like think about it for a medical industry. I think that would be like really amazing, like a chatbot for a medical industry, like medical services. I think that's a really good application for it. But also on the side like of the future for AI, I know a lot of people have a strong opinion, thinking that it's going to take people's jobs and
I wanted to get to that. Perfect lead up.
And ruin careers. I just want to say this.
Your job. It's not taking it.
I just want to say this right now. Its only knowledge is built from what we have done in the past, from what humans have done in the past. So I really don't think it can really advance as much as we really, as much as we really perceive, because all the knowledge that is trained for these language models is built directly from us. And yeah, it'll take us even more to train it to get to that level that we're even thinking about. And I just watched the CEO talk about the future of AI, of OpenAI, Sam Altman. We were just talking about it. But yeah, I just watched it a couple of days ago, and yeah, obviously we're not supposed to. We can take what he says for a grain of salt, but even him, he says that ChatGPT is only supposed to be supporting
the human.
It's only supposed to be supporting our daily lives. It's not supposed to be taking over, and it's really far. It's really far in the past from what it really can be. So I think it's going to take a couple more years for it to be an actual product where we can have subscriptions for. And yeah, I think AI is an amazing thing. I think there's so many applications. They have other products such as DALL-E, which is an AI image model, and just the capabilities of that alone, you wouldn't think much, but yeah, I think AI is amazing, and I think it's definitely an industry that's just starting. So,
industry that's just starting with room for potential growth, exponential growth, but at the end of the day, humans. We're saying that that we are still in control of it, and we'll dictate how far it will become more of a norm in our everyday lives.
Yeah,
I kind of see it also being very useful for maybe like customer service industries and being able to just automatically answer any questions that a caller may have regarding any company. So I think it could be very useful in, you know, customer service and some other industries as well. Like you said before, I think it's, you know, very exciting to see. You know, obviously it was in the works for many years, and obviously you probably knew of it before. You know, software engineering industries probably knew of it before, you know, the general public, obviously, because it just became, you know, a recent, you know, craze in just, you know, everyday society as of right now. But, you know, just very, you know, I guess assuring to hear that you think that we're still in control of it.
Yeah, I think it's only here to support us, honestly, and it can only go as far as we go.
Got it. Switching off that topic, you know, it seems like, you know, you're very motivated, you know, get straight to the point, you don't waste no time, you know, just militant movements, you know what you're doing. You know what you do. What are your career aspirations? You know, where do you see yourself, you know, just short term, long term? You know, I know it's a tough question, you know, but, you know, could you really see yourself in the future moving up?
So I can talk about my future, I guess, movements right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually applying to grad school right now, and I'm trying to get my dual masters, so my MBA, my MS, hopefully in business administration and software engineering.
I see.
So I'm trying to get, you know what I'm saying? I stay too much on the technical side. Yeah, I don't like being too much on the technical side. I think having both sides of the coin is really good for myself, at least, because I definitely do want to start my own startup. I've been working on some little projects here and there.
Keep down the love. I'm not stealing no ideas.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta keep it in the duffel. But yeah, I've definitely been working on a couple projects now for a long time.
Nice.
That, I mean, I'm just doing it by myself, so it's taking a long time. But hopefully down the years, I'll be situated how you want. Yeah, hopefully in the next 5 years, I'm going to be working on full time for my startup.
Yes,
that I'm coming out with, and yeah, I definitely
making your mark.
Yeah, definitely making my mark. That's the biggest thing that I want to do. I want to leave something here with that I started and I created. So I that's why I think schooling is the best route for me, at least, because there can be, especially starting a business, there can be a lot of
hurdles that you got to get through.
Exactly.
Information that you need to know.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think getting my degrees would benefit me the most, and also help me in job situations as well. So I know a lot of people say that masters aren't really needed, but companies, it's not like companies.
They still value it.
Exactly. Companies still value them, even though it's not needed. It just, there are also certifications you can get on the other side, but I think degrees is my pathway, honestly, because I've been in school for all my life, so.
It's a couple more years. Finish it out.
It's a couple more years.
Yeah.
Masters me.
Yeah, masters me.
Masters me. Really.
But yeah, bro, it's great to hear that. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this channel is all about. You know, always strive higher. You know, always trying to better yourself in any way you can. And just great to hear that you're taking those steps to get to your destination as soon as possible, not wasting any time. That's what it's all about. This is part of business, finance channel, entrepreneurship. So. Obviously, you got the whole software, developer career going. Are there any other investments that you're into? Stocks, real estate, maybe that you're looking to do in the future that you do now?
Yeah. So
that you're fond of, that you're a fan of.
Yeah. So honestly, the market has really not been in my favor as of recently.
I don't think it's been in anyone's favor.
Yeah. So you probably see that on Ash's next video, but. You know what I'm saying? So I've just been pumping a lot of money into index funds, like Vanguard and stuff like that, just because it's really like low risk, low reward. But I'm taking that low risk. You know what I'm saying? Small gains. So honestly, I don't really play around with the stock market as much as anymore. I used to have a lot of individual stocks that I put my trust in, but.
Or some of your favorite companies. They're failing.
They've been failing me. Just the usual like Tesla. I put a lot of
blue chip stocks,
pretty much.
Tech
a lot of tech companies. Some pharmaceutical companies on the side.
Right.
Especially with since there were so many viruses going around, I really put a lot of money into biopharmaceutical companies.
Very
just
smart.
because, yeah, just because there was a chance that, you know, we saw what happened with Pfizer. So, like, there was just a small chance that I could have made a little gain. It was happening, but for a little bit. But then, you know what I'm saying, my bank account wasn't doing too well. So yeah, now I just pump honestly all my money into index funds. I have Roth IRA. That's pretty much it. And in terms of real estate,
I'll be good to build long term too.
Oh,
yeah,
soon. In terms of real estate, soon.
Yeah, I'm plotting on the real estate moves.
You've been plotting on it.
It's coming. But man, that's really all the questions I had for you. You know, you really answered everything. You know, great. You know, I think we got a whole great view of who you really are. I'm just gonna give the floor to you if you wanna have any final words, and I'm gonna just give the floor to you if you wanna shout out anyone, people who helped you get here. The floor is yours, my guy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just say, if you really want to be in this career path, definitely you have to be 100% about it, and you can't really dilly-dally with anything. I think that goes for any career path, honestly. Just make sure that you're 100% interested in it and 100% down for it, because it is a lot of studying and it takes a lot of time to work on your craft. And if you're doing something, you should want to be the best at it. So don't settle for less. You know what I'm saying? And that will just take you so far. You know what I'm saying? And shout out 201. That's pretty much it, honestly. Shout out Ash.
Oh,
great video, great YouTube channel. Ash is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Ash wants to be the best at everything, which is a great mindset. You have to take over every industry if you want to be for real at it. So that's exactly what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, man. Man. Like you said, you want to be the best at everything, and always just continue to strive to be the best of yourselves.
Yeah,
but
hell yeah.
Thank you again, my brother, for coming on to the show.
Of course,
Rachid, aka Rah Banks, whatever you want to do. Follow the gram, all that. But again, thank you.
That's in the description.
Oh, I'm putting it in the description. Y'all gonna find it in the description.
Follow
mixtape coming soon. Supposedly. But thank you again for coming. Sharing some insight into the industry, what you do. Especially, be very helpful for people who are aspiring to be in the same career path and, along that line. So thank you again for coming onto the show. This was another episode, another interview of Always Strive Higher. Like I told you, we come in with new interviews every single week, especially, as the weather warms up and gets better. So be on the lookout for multiple interviews per week.
New locations.
Your locations every week. I got a lot of new ideas on the way, and, that's not, not really in it, for the clout, really just here to, share information, but, we'll eventually get where we're supposed to be. So, always strive higher. Another interview. Peace.